See if it resonates with you. See if possibly when you were a baby or a child, you didn't receive the care and the love that you deserve, that you needed. And over time, it created this thought, I am not that important. I am not important. My parents or caregivers were too busy, were absent. I was crying alone in the room, needing food, needing clothes, needing presence to reassure me that I was safe. And that left a mark, a belief, or multiple limiting beliefs, a network of limiting beliefs. And growing up with these beliefs, well, they affected my decisions, my choices, limiting my growth and the expression of my creative potential in this life. So when 30 years after, 40 years later, I am faced with something that feels like a threat to not have my needs met, I might react. I might get defensive. I might get scared. I might elevate the tone of my voice. Why? Is it because I'm not a good person? Because there's something wrong with me that I need to fix? Or is it because intuitively, instinctively, my old being is reconnecting with this old wound of being neglected, for example, and I'm scared that again, as it already happened when I was a baby or a child, my needs will not be met. And I'm scared. I'm scared to death. Then I might become angry. I might become upset because deep down, I feel threatened to not have my essential needs being met. So, isn't it time for so many of us to reconsider how we see feelings and emotions? And instead of seeing them as a problem or as something to fix in the machine or something to manage, something to control, we learn to welcome each and every feeling and emotion and recognize them as a messenger, as a signal. Ooh, fear. Maybe if things continue this way, my needs will not be met. Anger. My needs are not being met. Sadness. My needs have not been met. Excitement. My needs will be met. Joy, passion. My needs are being met. Satisfaction, relief. My needs have been met. And then peace, tranquility. So the goal is not to aim to only experience joy or peace, for example. The intention is to welcome the whole spectrum for its wisdom as a continuum between each major emotion The same way that in nature, even if I would prefer that there is never any rain, I can recognize the importance of rain. Isn't it time to make space, to welcome the wisdom of our emotions? Recognizing that our emotional reactions, our triggers, our intense moments of agitation are not telling us that there is a problem with us. They're telling us that needs were not met when we were a baby and a child. And that left an imprint. And the overall message could be, well, maybe you didn't take care of yourself enough. And now you're going into this trance, into this fear mode, into this stress, into this anger, into this sadness. And the emotion is telling you, please, try to give yourself all that you need. Try to love yourself in a way that you were never loved before. And that comes from a chain. These wounds, these behaviors and words that create trauma, they are passed from a generation to another unconsciously. So they are unconscious and they are unrecognized. And the antidotes to each one of these wounds are simply the reverse actions, the opposite behaviors and words. So if I was neglected, the antidote would be attention, presence, care. Taking a moment to check in with yourself before making any decision, before saying yes, no, before jumping to the next action, the next moment in your calendar. How do I feel right now? So you check in. By doing that, you give yourself attention. And it's very possible, like so many of us, like myself, that there was a lack of attention, a lack of care. Not because your parents were bad, no, because they were repeating behaviors that, they experienced themselves. And so each generation, possibly, there is an improvement. Some people become conscious of what they received, what they did not receive fully or in enough quantity, and they decide, oh, I didn't receive that from my parents. I'm gonna give that to my children now. Okay. And as an adult, that's also a decision that we need to make. Oh, I can see that in my lineage, there was a lack of attention, a lack of care, a lack of presence. Now I'm going to give that to myself. Instead of continuously looking outside to receive what I didn't receive and getting angry at people for not giving me what I need, which is the wisdom of anger, right? Anger is telling you, you know, maybe you did not give yourself what you need and now you're angry. And this is why taking responsibility for our emotions is so crucial. I get scared, I get angry, and each time I try to recognize that I waited too long to give myself what I need. I didn't express that I needed that. I didn't check in with myself. I forgot. I let time pass, and now I get tense. I get stressed. I get angry. Okay. How can I receive the wisdom and the intelligence of emotions trying to tell me, hey, you waited too long to take care of your needs? So each wound with the framework of 6 emotional core wounds, and these wounds are simply there to help us become conscious of what are the behaviors and words that were repeated from a generation to another that resulted in having human beings carrying limiting beliefs about themselves and not taking care of themselves because that's what they learned by default, not receiving the care that they deserve, and having this thought form appearing, I guess I'm not very important, right? And so if you carry this belief, then it's going to be difficult to take care of yourself, to give yourself the rest, the love, the affection, the appreciation, you know, to nourish your needs. And so we bring the light of consciousness to this chain of behaviors and words. We bring the light of consciousness to the connection between our emotions, reactions in the moment, and how they are linked to the past when we were a baby and a child, not having our needs met at a time where we could not take care of our needs ourselves because we were just a baby or a young child. And now we cultivate the antidotes for each wound. So if you resonate with the truth, the reality of the wound that we call neglect, then maybe you resonate with the antidote of attention. Another wound is the wound of rejection. This time our needs were not met because we were pushed away, we were judged. And that created the limiting belief, I'm not good enough. Because if I would be good enough, then I would be accepted, not rejected. Okay. And then we bring an antidote, which is the opposite, which is appreciation, acceptance. Acceptance not in the sense of resignation, acceptance in the sense of welcoming, appreciating, cultivating gratitude for who people are. Instead of criticizing and judging them, because we can realize that when we judge others, it might be because we've been judged, we've been put down, labeled, criticized. So one of the effects of these emotional core wounds is that we often repeat, and that's the unconscious repetition that I was talking about between each generation. So one very important way to heal is to recognize when we repeat the behaviors and the language that created the wound in the first place. Okay. So if I was judged, pushed away, rejected, it might have created the belief, I'm not good enough. And then as an adult, I want to prove the world that I'm good enough. I'm going to overdo, overachieve, exhaust myself. Okay. So you see the chain. Okay. You see how things are linked. And then we ask ourselves, okay, how do I reverse this tendency? Well, One could see how appreciation could be the antidote for rejection. And then a third emotional core wound is the wound of invasion. A wound that is not often enough recognized in my book, in my world. The wound of invasion. How your space was not respected as a child. We all have need for space, for privacy, to be alone sometimes, and many of us didn't have that space. Maybe people around us were repeating behaviors of not respecting space because they suffered from the same wound of invasion, so they were unconsciously repeating it by not respecting your space, by invading your space, by not giving you the opportunity to speak, to express yourself, to be yourself. You were trapped. You were limited in simply being yourself. And you had the impression that there was no space for you to be. Yeah, so many children, for example, they grow up sharing their bedroom. Maybe there are good aspects to that. But at the same time, maybe they lack this need for privacy and to have their own space. And then, well, what do we see in the world? Countries invading other countries, not respecting the space. Hmm. And so, what could be the antidote? The antidote could be to recognize the need for space, recognition, to recognize the needs of our fellow human beings, to recognize that we have needs, to recognize that we need space, we need our space, we need our space to be respected, to be recognized. Okay. So, this is all to invite us to make peace with our feelings and emotions, to stop being ashamed and feeling guilty for having certain feelings and emotions. Feelings and emotions, they show up. They show up. So why do they show up? So I shared with you my perspective on why. Because I see an intelligence at play through each and single emotion, telling each one of us, hey, look where you are right now. You're at this stage where maybe your needs will not be met. Or, right now your needs are not being met. Okay. I am anger and I'm here to tell you that. Okay. So let's welcome our emotions. Okay. Let's be compassionate with ourselves. Let's be patient. Okay. But let's engage. Let's commit to reverse this tendency of denying, suppressing, repressing, judging our emotions. No, they are here for something. They are great teachers.